What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Harvester Sports Podcast. Wow, that was a wild wave.
Yeah, sorry. Hello.
Yeah, usually I'm cropped in on just me during this part.
Sorry.
That's
Don't put me in there. Because I know I'm usually hiding. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, usually, okay, I guess we're starting. This is episode 75, perhaps? Perhaps it's 76. It's one of the two. Probably 75.
75.
But we're your hosts. I'm Noah.
I'm Austin.
One big storyline that some of us are following through this season is that close friend of the podcast, David Carr, even though he doesn't like to be called that, but
Yeah, he does.
Close friend of the podcast, David Carr, has a record that's potentially in jeopardy. And so we're going to be
Buckle up now, folks.
we're going to be monitoring that throughout the season a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
NFL record for being sacked the most times in a season, DC8 holds it with 76.
Not a record you want to have, by the way. We're going to put that out there.
Not one that you shoot for, but one that once you get it, you want to hold on to.
You want to hold on to it for sure.
Like, you don't want to go through all that pain for nothing.
Yeah, you want to be a warning to other quarterbacks, other young guys.
We've talked with him about it a lot, and we've kind of all said, like, no, there's no way anybody ever beats it. Like, there's just no way.
But now,
And even with adding one more game to the schedule,
we thought it couldn't be done.
Still thought it couldn't be done. That being said, 4 games into the season, we have 2 quarterbacks that are on pace to blow out DC8's record, and we have one that's close behind.
So 3 potential suitors for the crown.
With 22 sacks after 4 games, Daniel Jones is on pace for 93.5 sacks this season. With 24 sacks after 4 games, Sam Howell is on pace for 102 sacks this season. And then in third place, we have Justin Fields has 17, which puts him on pace for 72.2 sacks this season. So we have 3 guys that are on pace to break.
And not just like the front runners, not just barely break it, to blow it out of the water with a 90 and 100. That is insane. We thought 76 was going to stay forever. We thought it was going to be a warning. Here's what you don't want to happen to your quarterback. But these guys are coming to prove something.
So with those 2 guys that are both really close right now, who do you think has the better shot at finishing the year with? Well, do you think either of them will break it? And which of those 2 guys do you think has the better chance of finishing the year with more sacks between Sam Howell and Daniel Jones?
I think Sam Howell has the better chance to break it.
Which is also a really rough and wild, kind of a wild thing to be predicting.
Yeah, I feel there's nobody, like we said, no one wants to hold this record, but I think Sam Howell does have the better chance. The Giants' O-line's banged up right now. I really hope Dan doesn't keep going on this path. 11 sacks just last week. I think Sam Howell's got it in the bag. If Sam Howell keeps it up, which is awful, right? If you keep getting sacked that much, but I think out of the 2, he's got the chance. Even though, I don't know, maybe we'll see.
Part of me think, well, I'd say
we might see. I don't know. Maybe our boy comes up. Maybe the Bears quarterback comes up. Forgot his name for a second.
Why is he our boy? Why is Justin
I
Fields our boy?
I don't know if he is our boy. Maybe Justin Field makes a push.
Yeah, well, I could see both ways, because I was gonna say that Sam Howell has played a lot less games than Daniel Jones, so in theory, maybe he'll get more used to the NFL, getting the ball out quick. And despite having not a good O-line, he'll get the ball out quick, move around, maybe not get sacked quite as much as he gets more used to the league. But then Daniel Jones, 22 sacks, but 11 of those came in. 11 of those came in just one game. So really,
it gives a boost.
He wasn't doing horrible in that department before.
Yeah, but that'll boost your numbers.
Yeah, but it doesn't take very many more games like that for him to get the record.
No, he'll need a few chunks.
But if you look at that as an outlier, maybe he'll be all right. And
meanwhile, Sam Howell needs to get sacked 4 times a game to keep it up and break the record, which does not sound crazy.
No, Sam Howell is the pace that Sam Howell is at. If he gets sacked 4 times per game for the rest of the year, he'll have the NFL record for most sacks in a season.
Which is not that crazy to be sacked 4 times.
No, that's 4 times is the least amount he's been sacked in a game all year.
Some teams would pray for that. Sam Howell would pray for that.
That's Sam Howell's best, least amount of sack game this year.
Yeah, I bet Sam Howell would pray to look forward to 72. Not 72 for the 4 game.
Yeah, if he was going into a game knowing he's only going to get sacked 4 times, he'd be like, oh, this is a light one. which is wild. But
To me, though, I would say I hope our DCA gets to keep it because it just feels like a badge of honor at this point.
yeah, you gotta let him have it.
You got to let him have it for sure. You want to talk about a conspiracy theory going on in the NFL right now about one of these last games?
Sure.
Let me throw it at you. Let me paint the picture. Taylor Swift back watching. I know we hate. I know. I'm sorry. That's okay.
Wow.
I'm going to turn to the very thing we hate right now. Taylor Swift back watching the Chiefs versus Jets. A lot of fans on Twitter, on the media, are saying that there were phantom calls that weren't called to put the Chiefs over, and so Taylor Swift wouldn't have to watch her new boyfriend lose. Which there were some that look crazy to me. There's two that are being focused on. The Sauce Gardner holding call thrown after the interception and the non-holding call by the Chiefs offensive line that was blatant and what should have been thrown 100%. What do you think? Do you think that there's no way something was sprinkled in there to make sure the Chiefs won this game? It was just bad refs that game.
Well, I mean, I don't think it has anything to do with some Taylor Swift conspiracy theory to win for Taylor Swift or anything like that. But I think, over the last couple of years, anybody that's been watching football closely and has been watching a lot of Chiefs games, to say that referees in the league tend to favor the Chiefs slightly more than other teams is not an outrageous thing to say.
No, it's not crazy.
So I don't know about like a deep conspiracy where they got together and were like, okay, we're going to make sure they win this primetime game. We can't let them lose to Zach Wilson. But that one no call on the offensive holding, like what should have been offensive holding with the Chiefs lineman grabbing the Jets player, definitely should have been called. And there's a couple other that looked suspicious, but I don't know that's some elaborate thing. But I do think that by and large the NFL does kind of it seems like the Chiefs maybe get more calls than some other teams. It's just how it is that the Raiders historically have always, for one, committed a lot of penalties genuinely, but also have just always
been on the bad side of things.
Yeah, have been on the bad side of some bad calls, and they're more likely to get certain things like
the index
call, a little ticky. Yeah. Well, I just mean things that are a little ticky tack. They're more likely to get.
I get you.
Whether you attribute that to like in the Raiders instance, maybe it's because the NFL's had a beef with the Raiders ever since Al Davis sued them, or there's different things, but I mean, there's a human element to the NFL and to referees.
Exactly, yeah. And I would say we've talked about the holding call on the offensive line, or the non-holding call. But the one of Sauce Gardner, I can go both ways on it, because I can say, okay, yeah, maybe he did hold him, it's fine. Where people get stressed out about the call is that it was thrown after the interception, which I don't think is a big conspiracy theory. I think just the ref just threw it late for some reason. I think the ref saw it, probably should have thrown it earlier to not give us all this hope from the interception, but I don't know. It's just weird timing. I just get the flag out sooner. Then
the only thing we can say for sure is that the NFL is conspiring against Sam Howell. They didn't want to see a Sam Howell money drive in overtime, and that's why they said Scary Terry's foot was out.
It's true, and if you step on a man's arm,
and if you look at the footage and it looks like his foot might be out, then the footage has been doctored.
You have to realize there's AI and stuff now. This could be easily changed. Don't believe anything you see on TV.
The Commanders versus the Eagles game, which was a really great game and came down to it in the end, came down to literally literally a millimeter, a centimeter came down to with that Scary Terry call. But I do disagree with the Commanders, which obviously hindsight is 2020, so it's easy to be like, oh, I disagree with that. They should have done this differently looking back. But even in the moment, I was thinking I would have gone for it when the Commanders decided to just kick the field goal and go to overtime against the Eagles.
Yeah.
I think the general rule of thumb is if you feel like you're for sure the better team, just by and large, then you want to go to overtime and you're confident you'll win it in overtime. If you're the underdog heading into that team and things have been going right for you within the last couple minutes, you feel like you have the momentum, you just had a great touchdown drive, everything's going right for you, you came into this game as an underdog, they're potentially the better team that you're going against. I think you try to end it with a 2-point conversion, because And that's the way I look at it. Is usually if you're the maybe not better team, but you have momentum on your side, I think you always go for 2.
I think so. I totally agree with you. I think at the end of the day, when you look back at the game, you're just going to see a loss. So might as well go for that 2-point conversion and win the game. Like you said, you have that momentum. Your team pushed, made this massive comeback. Just try to end it. You don't want to have to give the ball back to the Eagles and give them a chance also. Like, just play, who's playing the better ball right now? You guys made this comeback. You guys got these yards. Let's just see what it comes down to one play.
Especially after Sam had a great game, second half. I think, like, for a young quarterback, you want to show him, like, hey, we believe in you. You're like, that's the ultimate sign of, like, we're putting our trust in you is, like, hey, game on the line. We want to see you get this 2-point conversion because we think you can do it, and you're driving right now.
I totally agree.
Same how money drives.
I think the last thing you want to do in that situation is pull your whole team off after the field goal and be like, okay, now wait. Even though overtime rules are better now, be like, now watch the kickoff. Now watch the other team get it, and then go back out there. I think you're on this drive. Try to finish it. Go finish it. If you don't, that sucks. But at least no one can hate on you for at least attempting to win the game. No one's gonna hate on you for having, to try to fight and get that last push. Or some now, like me. Or
I think people will hate on you no matter what.
Yeah, I agree. But I'd rather be hated on for going for something than being called, or whatever you call it, coward or something after and going into overtime. I would have gone for it 100%. And I probably would have made it.
Khalil Mack's a good football player. That's all we have to say about the Raiders game. Move on.
Khalil Mack is a very good football player.
They say if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And so we'll just leave them alone for this week.
Talk about the Raider game. Okay, Khalil Mack's a good football player.
Yep, move on.
Well, then let's talk about some of the games coming up, shall we? Let's talk about... I got 3 games I want to talk about. Let's start with the Cowboys versus 49ers. Probably one of the... I knew it. As soon as then you looked at it, I was like, someone's going to grab it. Somewhat. Let's talk about Cowboys 49ers. A historic matchup. They are 19-19-1 versus each other. For some reason, then Shannon came out and said that this is the game we have to prove ourselves against. I was like, weird to say that about the Cowboys. I wouldn't give them that much firepower when you're about to play them, but I guess, the Cowboys have been playing good.
The Cowboys, regardless of how good they are, will always be a team that teams want to beat, I think.
Yeah.
Just because of, like, being an iconic franchise, popular franchise, big fan base, big market. I think they're just always a team that feels good, especially with the Niners and the Cowboys do have a rivalry.
Yeah.
It's like a
very historic matchup. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it'll be a good game. I'm gonna say the Niners still pull it out though. I think the Niners beat the Cowboys just because I don't know. I'm a Giants fan. I think sometimes I'm just a Cowboy hater, and they can be good. I still won't believe in them until I see them beat a team like the Niners. So until I see it, then I still won't believe in them. So I'm gonna say Niners. I'll go 34-28. I think it'll be a good scoring game.
Yeah, this is a really good matchup. I'm definitely going to take the 49ers for a couple reasons. One is that by default, I'm a Dak doubter until he proves me wrong. I just tend to lean towards doubting Dak. I think the 49ers defense is really elite, and they're going to bring it. They're going to force Dak to try to force some things that he maybe shouldn't force, maybe make him pay for it. I also think that Christian McCaffrey is coming into this game with already 7 touchdowns this year, 600 yards all purpose. Like, Christian McCaffrey is potentially the best player in the NFL right now.
MVP candidate for sure.
He's playing absolutely out of this league, and between that and Kyle Shanahan always being a genius, I think the 49ers defense is going to show up. I think they're going to keep Dak and the Cowboys offense under control.
And if the NFL scriptwriters were real, it would be insane to see maybe Dak have to go to the sideline and Trey Lance jog out, play his former team.
I forgot about that whole aspect of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Trey Lance will be
if
there.
Dak gets hurt.
Trey Lance is in.
No, he's not.
Oh,
no, he's not. Cooper Rush is in.
Cooper Rush is still there. Dang it. Okay. We got 2 guys need to go down before
if 2 guys go down, then Trey Lance looks around and goes, wait, what? Another one went down? And then goes in.
And then we get a little historic moment.
He goes, Coach, what?
Yeah, if Shanahan walks up to him and goes, not Shanahan. Yeah, if they come up to him, I mean, if you see Dak go down, maybe just for the storyline, be like, "Hey, Cooper, sit out this game. We're gonna throw Trey in there just for the memories." And
No,
the good moment."
if I'm the Cowboys and I'm winning it, like I put if we need to kneel it to win,
You let Trey do
I'm
it?
sending Trey in to do the little last victory formation. I think
Yeah, that would,
for no reason.
for no reason. How disrespectful
People
is
be
that?
like,
What? Trey Lance goes out in the field. What?
Who would be more confused, the Niners, the fans, or Trey?
Trey probably is disrespectful. It's like, why are you putting me in the middle of
Yeah,
this?
just don't use
Like,
me.
I don't care.
See, I like these
Yeah,
guys.
those are my friends. I played with these guys. They're my boys. I'm gonna shake their hands after the game. Another game that I
Also, if they put Trey in there and he it's a fake kneel and he throws a bomb,
yeah.
even better.
If you're Trey, do you do it? If they say fake news, like, bro, they're gonna hate me forever. Another game that I think people are sleeping in this next matchup, Eagles versus Rams. I think will be better than some people think. I still think the Eagles are the better team, but the Rams are getting Cooper Kupp back. They're already doing amazing. If they can keep Matt Stafford on his feet and their defense can play somewhat okay, then I think they have a chance in this game, and I think the Rams could upset them. I really think the Rams could upset them. I think the Rams are better than most people think. And I would say for this prediction, I'm going to go 24-21 Rams. I think the Rams pull it off. That's my hot prediction of the week, boys and girls.
You think the Rams beat the Eagles?
I think the Rams are going to pull it off and beat the Eagles 24-21.
Because why?
I think,
'Cause
I think
you think adding Cooper Kupp makes him that much better?
I think so. I really think so. I think Cooper Kupp and the Eagles defense hasn't played that well this year. Okay, don't hate me for saying that, Eagles fans, but I think Cooper Kupp comes in. I think they win by a field goal. I think they do great. I'll say Cooper Kupp, player of the week too. Comes back, has a great game. I'll say over 100 yards, Cooper Kupp.
I'm still taking the Eagles to win that one. I don't think the Rams are as bad as some people have indicated that they think they are. I think the Rams are actually like a pretty solid team. That being said, I'm just really big on the Eagles. I think that I'm really big on Jalen Hurts, really big on that whole receiving core with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. I think their offense is really great. And yeah, their defense hasn't been as great as some people, as I think a lot of us expected it to be. But I think they're still finding their groove and are going to step it up. I'd expect the Eagles to win this one. Which I want to talk about. I have seen some people saying, because the Eagles are one of only two teams that are still undefeated. They're one of only two 4-0 teams. And I've seen some allegations that their schedule has not been that tough. Their wins have come against the Patriots, the Vikings, the Buccaneers, and the Commanders. And of those, 3 of those 4 have all been one-possession games. Yeah. With the last week's one against the Commanders going to overtime.
Yeah.
So I want to get your thoughts on, do you think, because people are pointing fingers saying, like, are the Eagles, like, have they really been tested yet? How good are they really? They're undefeated, but they haven't played great opponents. But personally, I feel like we've had this conversation before last year about how great are the Eagles? They've played easy teams, and then they still were really good.
Yeah.
And they made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, I tend to think, well, for one, you can only beat the teams that you play. You can only do so much. But how much do you think that their success is just them having a weak schedule?
I mean, I would agree that the teams they've played haven't been like the top of the league, but it's still the NFL. Even though they're not beating them bad, they're still beating these teams and stringing the wins together, which at the end of the season, that's all that matters. And that's all that mattered last season, too, when they did the same thing. When people came out and said they're playing bad teams, but then they made it all the way to the Super Bowl and fought with the Chiefs. You know, these, like, a win is a win at the end of the year. And we're not going to look back and be like, oh, they beat bums, but they made it to the Super Bowl.
I also don't. Like, that's something that I've seen people.
Yeah, I don't think the Commanders are bombs.
Well, so I've seen people saying this on Twitter, but I don't think these are really that bad of teams. Like, I think the Patriots are, like, they're.
I think the Patriots.
I think the Patriots are better than their record.
Yeah,
I'll say that. I think the Vikings.
those might be bombs. I don't know. I'm a Viking hater now.
Vikings are. I go back and forth because the Vikings have the potential to be a lot better than they are. But they keep not doing good, so it's hard to keep saying that they're good. Buccaneers are 3-1, and then Commanders. I mean, Commanders are 2-2 after losing that game, and
the only team I would say is bad is the Vikings in that. I think the other teams are good, and they just beat good football teams. Like I don't think they're playing trash garbage teams. You know, they're not playing the Bears.
Yeah, I mean the Patriots looked pretty awful this week, getting blown out by the Cowboys. But prior to that, there's been times where they've looked all right. So
I wouldn't write off to say they're playing bums. I think just they're gonna keep winning, and at some point we're gonna be like,
yeah, I think it's just they'll play Rams, then Jets, Eagles. I mean, they will get put to the test this year, though. They play the Dolphins. They play the Chiefs. They play the Bills. They play some really good AFC teams. Also, pretty sure I said they play the Eagles, which they don't.
I know. I was
because they are.
They are the
Eagles. They play them. They play them like every day almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't be wrong in saying that.
And at the end of the day, you're playing yourself.
You are your toughest opponent.
You're your toughest opponent. Yeah. All you can do is beat yourself.
I think you're right. I mean, yeah, we're gonna see them play these great teams later on the season, so we'll see then. But I think they're beating good teams now. I think they'll be fine. They're still a good football team.
Yeah, and it bums me out to see how much kind of doubt, or not even really hate, but just people are kind of doubtful of Jalen Hurts, which I don't really understand too much. I mean, I think he is maybe on paper statistically he's not putting up numbers like Patrick Mahomes, like Josh Allen, like Tua, or like a lot of these guys that have really great numbers on paper. But I think Jalen Hurts is, for one, a great leader, but he also just finds ways to win games, whether that's by feet, with his throws, whatever it is. I think their offense is really good regardless, and I think that he works really well within that offense.
I agree.
Even if he's not putting up big numbies, I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
And I'll say this: God bless that is Josh Allen trash talks are over. Now that man has one bad week, and then we all hate him, and now we're back. So
yeah,
we Josh Allen truthers to the day we die.
Really quick. People were like, "Oh yeah, Josh Allen MVP favorite." Okay, man. Yeah, he is, but where were you before that?
Yeah, we were.
Where were you when we were in the trenches?
Yeah, since week 1.
When we were in the trenches saying he's just like Pat Mahomes.
We're going, he's 1B or 1A. Weird how fast people turn, because now look at Joe Burrow. What's happened to the Bengals? They're a bad team now too. They can't get right. You got Jamar. I can't even say what he said on here. I'm open. I'm always open. I'll just bleep it out. But like it's hard. It's a hard league out there, and just because you're a good team one year doesn't mean you'll be a good team the next year. And look at the Eagles, undefeated, so they're still bringing it together. They're gonna keep bringing it together. Now let's talk about
as it is now, the NFC Championship would be the same thing it was last year, rematch.
Hey, and God bless that.
AFC Championship would not be.
No, I don't know it by heart. Now let's talk about the Thursday night game. Commanders versus Bears. Justin Fields coming off a 4-touchdown game. Had a great game, right? Got to silence some of the haters. The Commanders and Sam Howell coming off of a great game versus the Eagles, sadly losing in overtime. I mean, this might be a good game. This might be better than people thought. If you asked me, a week ago, I'd been like, oh, Commanders going to blow out the Bears probably. But now, seeing that Justin Fields has it in him to throw 4 touchdowns, I think it's going to be a better game than I thought initially. I still will put the Commanders ahead, though. I'll say this one's a lower scoring game. I'm going to go 10-14 final score. Commanders.
Wow, that is really low scoring.
Yeah. Bang. Going to put it in.
I would say the Commanders make the Bears look like the worst team in the NFL, which maybe they are. I think that the Commanders are a much better team than a lot of people expected them to be coming into this year.
Yeah.
Not better than I expected them to be, I'll tell you that. I've been speaking that Sam Howell truth. I've been a Sam Howell truther since day one.
Oh, y'all forget, man.
Commanders have a good pass rush that they'll bring, freak out Justin Fields. Probably scramble for a good amount of yards, but he's not throwing dotties. He's not throwing dots. So I think that Commanders defense is going to pretty much keep Justin Fields under control. I think that the Commanders offense, Sam Howell's really finding his stride. We saw it at the end of last week's game against the Eagles, against a much better opponent and a much better defense than the Bears have. And he was able to put together some money drives late in the game, looked comfortable, looked like he knew what he was doing, looked like a commander, looked like Sam the Commander. I think they're going to take command against the Bears, cook them. Cook them.
That was clean. You kept going. You were cooking.